How's it going, trainers? And welcome to another Pokemon Go PvP video. Today we're going to be discussing the cup that was announced last night as of recording, the Mirror Cup. The Mirror Cup, as you can see, is going to consist of all of the previous tournaments, all 7 main, and the 8th being the Season 1 Regionals tournament. And what this is going to mean is that each community essentially gets to choose which tournament they want to participate in, if that makes any sense. We'll go ahead and read Drome's announcement real quick, at least the part that matters. The Arena's August Cup brings the opportunity to revisit favorites from throughout Season 1. Dig out your old battle teams because communities get to choose which past format they use for their Mirror Cup. All past Cup theme rules and bans remain in place for each format, but the no duplicate species rule is in effect for all Cups, even Boulder, where it wasn't before. And be sure to remember that new species have launched in Pokemon Go that affect the meta balance of past Cups. August will be the last chance to increase your player tier and rank. On September 1st, Season 1 officially becomes historical record. Good luck, study hard, and take advantage of our season finale to land on top of the leaderboards. So, we're going to have to go over each Cup and its meta and what's changed since. Obviously, the older the Cup, let's say Boulder, is going to have the most change because of introduction of new Pokemon, introduction of new moves and such, so let's go ahead and dive right into that. Let's go ahead and start with Boulder. And rightfully so, the top-ranked Pokemon in Boulder is Skarmory. That's pretty much how it was back in the day, too. The only difference is, even as Drome specified, there was no ban on using the same Pokemon more than once, so there was teams of people using 2 to 3 Skarmory, and that was pretty much the strategy for Boulder for a lot of people. But now, you can only use one, and yeah. Next, as you could probably tell, 2 through 6 are all either new Pokemon or they have new moves. Medicham now has Power-Up Punch, so it was a powerhouse before, and now it's just insane. It's insane now. It's gonna do good for you here. It's gonna do good for you in Season 1 Regionals, and it's do good for you. Blah blah blah. Medicham's gonna do good for you in just general PvP as it is. Moving on to Swampert. Swampert this Sunday, as of recording 2 days from now, is gonna have the community move Hydro Cannon, and it very well could become the best Mud Boy of its class. Mudboys being water ground type Pokemon like Wishcash, Quagsire, Marshtomp previously. Swampert's gonna go right into that mold and quite very well be the best. Next being Bronzong. Bronzong just got Psyshock. I think it just got Bulldoze too, so that's a wow. It's gonna be good. Gallade didn't exist last time Boulder was around. It's gonna be great. Jirachi didn't exist in the game, if you have it, that is. Torterra will be an interesting counter. Hitmonchan has Power-Up Punch now. Lucario didn't exist, plus Power-Up Punch. For anybody that remembers Boulder Cup, the meta was basically Skarmory, Medicham, Wishcash, Quagsire. A lot of Flygon play too back then. Breloom was very popular, and now it's ranked 29th. It'll be interesting. That's definitely, I think, probably going to be the cup that's changed the most, and probably be the most fun to play, because it's almost going to be a whole nother tournament, whole nother new cup. Moving on, we got the Twilight Cup. The Twilight Cup is also going to have some interesting changes. It looks relatively the same. I know Tentacruel right here, ranked number 3, did not have Acid Spray last time when Twilight was out, and Acid Spray is a great move. It has the it decreases attack and defense. It decreases defense. Azu's in there. Azu's always going to be good. Togekiss with the Charm with the new fast move. That'll be fantastic. Looks like all the fairies with the fast move Charm are now going to be pretty well off in here. Not too much change, but a decent enough to shake it up a little bit. And when it comes to Boulder and Twilight, and probably even Tempest, there's a good chance a lot of people that are playing nowadays didn't get to participate in those tournaments, or didn't have very many participants, or didn't have the best Pokemon, or the best understanding of what PvP was back then. So this is really a good chance to try it again and, I don't know, kind of recertify yourself, if that makes any sense as well. We're going to go ahead and just keep moving on fast. We got 8 cups to talk about. So next is Tempest. I know Tempest I'm particularly excited for because we didn't get to hold a ranked one in our community. Again, the number 1 ranked will be Tropius, just like before. That's one of the regions that's kind of hard to get, but I found towards the latter end of Tempest last time that Tropius wasn't necessarily crucial, nor was having a Razor Leaf user, so to say. There's other good substitutes, as we could probably look up. Go like Grass, Abominous Snow, Torterra. Not that many good substitutes, but hey. Going down the line, you can see Swampert again, which will be coming out in the next few days with Hydro Cannon being one of the top Mud Boys. You're definitely going to want Hydro Cannon and Earthquake. I believe Mudshot Hydro Cannon, it takes 4 to 5 turns to get to. That's just insane. That's so spammy, so able to be spammed. It's wow. Next up, we have Lapras. Now, I remember quite well with Tempest. Lapras with Ice Shard, Ice Beam was almost impossible to either have, find, or get. But now, thanks to Lapras Day not too long ago, everyone should pretty much have access to that. Plus, they could have it as Shiny, and Shinies do more damage. You know. Remember, when it comes to the Lapras matchup, and we will dive into this, that Water Gun Lapras does win the mirror match, and in this meta, it was slightly more preferred, but it depends on, I would say, whether you run Ice Shard or Water Gun is really going to depend on your community's access to Tropius. So if you know the people you're going to be playing with, especially in a small community, all have access to Tropius, which mine do, I'm definitely going to be looking towards the Ice Shard end of the spectrum. Moving on, we have Abominous Snow. Nothing's changed there. Skarmory again is back. Magneton's interesting. I think Magnezone would be good in this cup too. And that's a new addition since. Let's see, Magnezone, there it is. Magnezone was not out last time, so that should be a very good addition. And now you see the Charm Fast Move in Togekiss reasserting itself again. So that's probably going to be a popular trend now that fairies should really do something. Not very much has changed since. You can see the 2 different forms of Gastrodon. And yeah, not too much difference. That's a classic cup, and that's what I'm very excited for. Next up is a personal favorite of mine in Kingdom Cup. A big complaint on Kingdom Cup is probably accessibility. Not only are you going to have to spend the outrageous amount to get a maxed out Bastiodon practically, but you also have to have a Lucario. I mean, it's almost required in Kingdom Cup in order to be competitive. So again, we got Power Up Punch Lucario, which did exist. It actually came out when Kingdom Cup was coming. So Lucario existed back then. Water Gun Lapras is definitely the move you're going to want, but at least we all have access to Ice Beam this time around, which is Legacy. Again, Bastiodon, which is going to make it hard to access. Altaria, very good Pokemon. Blaziken. Now, Blaziken Community Day came to us just after Kingdom Cup ended, and so now we have Blaziken with Blast Burn. Blaziken was very prevalent, mostly for its counter fast move, being able to counter both Lucario, Bastiodon, and occasionally Lapras, which were the 3 kings of the Kingdom Cup. But now with Blast Burn, I mean, its only debatable matchup of those 3 was Lapras. Blast Burn is going to rip through Lapras, and that's another, I don't know the specifics on it, but I do believe that Blaziken can get to Blast Burn real fast. Let's actually go take a look real fast. So, if our phone would work, go ahead and click on a matchup, just any one. Let's go with Probopass. So if you actually click on here, you can see that counter does 12 damage for 7 energy, and that Blast Burn takes 50 energy to get to, so you're going to divide 50 by 7, which is just over 7. So it's going to take 8 turns to get to Blast Burn, which, I mean, it's going to be doing super effective damage against a lot of things with that counter fast move, so Blaziken is going to be a fun one. Here is just a speculation one. Flygon is fantastic, and it almost doesn't make the cut a lot of times, but it's so fantastic. And we don't know what the next Community Day is going to be after Mudkip Community Day, and I think it's like within the first week of August, we're going to be getting a new Community Day, and it could very well be Trapinch, and Trapinch has a lot of great fast or charge moves it could get that would make Flygon even more fantastic for PvP. So I'm really hoping, personally, that we go ahead and get that shiny Trapinch and Community Day Flygon at the beginning of August so that we could use it in our revamped Kingdom Cups. Moving down the line, Garchomp. Garchomp. Now that's another, again, this cup just has a lot of hard-to-get Pokemon. Garchomp, I mean, everyone right now is struggling for Gibbles. I had to trade for my one and only one, and it's definitely not worth powering up for any type of scenario, to be honest. Garchomp should be fantastic. That's Mudshot, Outrage, Earthquake. That's fantastic. Moving down the line again, Bronzong has the two new charge moves in Psyshock and Bulldoze, and as you can see, they're both recommended in this cup. Going down, Probopass is new. Probopass came out roughly about a month later after Kingdom Cup, and we were pretty bummed because Probopass would have been amazing in this cup, and I still stand by that. I also think it'd be amazing in Boulder Cup. Probopass should be amazing. So, yeah, Jirachi. Oof. If you got to go to GoFest, then you have Jirachi. So, yeah, Magnezone again. Not much else. Aggron with Smackdown. I just don't trust Aggron in any scenario in the game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next cup. So technically after Kingdom Cup was Season 1 Regionals. And Season 1 Regionals is definitely going to change now. Just because we've had a lot of moves introduced to the game since. And what Season 1 Regionals consisted of was basically everything that you were able to use in all the tournaments we just talked about, being Boulder, Twilight, Tempest, and Kingdom, you could bring to Season 1 Regionals. So all those, I think it was 14 of 18 types. So just before Azumarill is top at the list, Medicham is high up there with that power-up punch. You can see that Swampert, definitely a new addition, is ranked very high. It's pretty much the Quagsire replacement, is what it looks like. Poor Mr. Quagsire. Oof. Bastiodon is ranked very high. Another hard-to-access Pokemon in terms of getting the candy and the dust to invest into it. But it is a fantastic Pokemon if you can do it. Jirachi, again, hard to access. Lucario, hard to access, but a fantastic Pokemon nonetheless. Tropius, hard to access. Legacy, Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, Haunter, definitely hard to access. But I personally ran a... Man, why can't I quite remember? I ran Shadow Claw, Shadow Punch, Sludge Bomb in my regionals, and it did very well. I even physically took on some Shadow Ball Haunters. You gotta be smart about it. We'll talk about that in a later video. Quagsire has gone down a lot. That's definitely because of Swampert. It's interesting that Wishcash stayed prevalent. It's got to be that Blizzard charge move, and Mud Bomb again is very spammable. Much more spammable than something like Earthquake. Not much else looks to have changed since Probopass existed for Season 1 Regionals. It actually came out the day before my Regionals. Clefable with Charm Fast Move, that is very interesting. Togekiss with Charm Fast Move. Wormadam, that's a fantastic Pokemon, but again, another Pokemon that's you're pretty much gonna have to max and invest a lot of candy that's a little hard to access sometimes, and a lot of dust. So, yeah, more Charm Fast Move Pokemon in Granbull. And yeah, not much difference in this cup, but enough to make it interesting, if that makes any sense. So, moving on next, we're gonna go to the Nightmare Cup, and I'm gonna be real honest with everyone. Nightmare Cup, if you redo this cup, you're in for a world of hurt, because Gardevoir just absolutely dominates everything in this matchup. If you go and look, and if you understand how PvP Poke works and its key matchup ratings, you could even go to its counters. Basically, it's on a spectrum from 0 to 900. 900 being the top of the spectrum, meaning it's a positive matchup for that Pokemon. 0 meaning it's a negative. 500 meaning it could go either way. Its best counter is Metang, and Metang only has a 660 rating against Gardevoir. That is ridiculous. That means Gardevoir can almost beat it in a 2-2 scenario, I'd assume. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is Gardevoir's top counter. This isn't a one-shield scenario. Let's go with 2. Let's just see it. This is giving everything the benefit of the doubt. Metang still wins, but wins with 42 health, and oof, we scroll on down looking. Gardevoir can only beat Metang evenly in a 2 or 1 shield against a 0. So, and only by 500, so it's not by much. But that just, it really shows how fantastic Gardevoir is with Charm in this cup. There's not going to be much to counter it. So, just, I couldn't recommend this. We'll go ahead and look at it anyways, what's changed. Definitely Gardevoir. Hypno is going to be fantastic. Hypno originally only had Confusion, and most people ran either the Legacy Shadow Ball or Psyshock, prevalently being Shadow Ball. And then they would have to run, man, what move was it? It was the Fighting Charge move. It was Focus Blast. Focus Blast. I think Focus Blast was fantastic in this cup just because of those dark subtypings. But the problem was most dark types that were ran other than Umbreon and Alolan Eradicate were poison dark types, so poison dark types are only weak to ground. So I think that, man, I already forgot again, Focus Blast? Focus Blast is pretty much obsolete to the new Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. All those wild card types of moves, like, you're never going to know what your Hypno's going to be packing against you. And yeah, Shadow Ball is still going to be the wanted move, the best, but people could very well make a fresh Hypno and run, what, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch. They can make it work. I mean, certainly make it work. Moving on, we have Claydol got Earth Ball, I believe, right when in the middle of Nightmare, so that's not very new. That looks to be about it. I mean, just the simple fact that Gardevoir has Charm now in this cup is just gonna, it really runs this cup, so I cannot recommend for a community to redo that cup. So let's go ahead and move on to Rainbow. Now, Rainbow was just last month, essentially, so not much should have changed. We'll go ahead and take a look. We have all the same things still at the top from back then, and my cat is using her claws to climb up my arm. Jesus. Stop. Let's keep moving on. Let's see. I do not see any changes at all. Wow. This looks like the exact same cup. The thing to note about this is that Rainbow ran Kanto Johto Pokemon, so if we're trying to think, well, where's Swampert as a new Mudboy replacement? Swampert is Hoenn generation, which is the 3rd generation, so it isn't there to replace Quagsire, unfortunately. Most of the Charm users are Fairy-type Pokemon, and I believe the only Fairy-type Pokemon from Gen 1 and 2 are stuff like Clefable, Wigglytuff, Granbull. I mean, we could actually go take a look what Fairy Pokemon are in here, if I could spell Fairy, geez. Oops. Azumarill. Azumarill is the only Fairy-type Pokemon, and unfortunately, Azumarill didn't get Charm, which would have been fantastic for Azumarill, and horrible for PvP, so, because it would just dominate every cup it could be in. But, so, Fairy, the new Charm Fairy fast move, wasn't able to impact Rainbow Cup, and Swampert coming in isn't going to be able to impact Rainbow Cup as either, so we're going to see very minimal changes in the Rainbow Cup. So moving on to the cup that we are still currently in the middle of, Jungle Cup. Now, nothing should have changed from Jungle Cup because everything just changed when this last update happened with the Charm introduction and all that stuff, so all the change is the same change we've been used to for about a week and a half now. It's going to be the same cup. I don't know if I'd quite recommend redoing it, just because we just did it. But I would assume most prevalent communities participate in at least one Jungle Cup, sometimes 2. I know I at least participate in 2, and even more. I mean, there's plenty of communities farther north in my state that participate in 8+ tournaments a month of each kind. So Jungle Cup, probably going to be the least popular outside of Nightmare, just because we're already doing it, you know. Nothing has changed. I mean, for now. Nothing's changed for now. As far as order of recommendation, I think definitely my biggest recommendation of a cup to redo would be Boulder Cup. Boulder Cup is just an entirely new meta. That was, what, 7-8 months ago that Boulder Cup was out? I had a newborn baby back then. So that would be about 6 months, actually. Boulder Cup is going to just be a total change. I would assume anybody that's been around either since then or wasn't around for that is definitely eager to get another chance, just because of the rules that have changed as well. We could no longer run 2 to 3 Skarmory or 2 to 3 of anything. We Metachamp has Power Up Punch. I mean, wow. Lucario's a thing. Lucario can pack a hit too. I mean, there's just so much. The next I would recommend, personally, is Kingdom. I really like Kingdom. I still think it's changed a decent amount when it comes to Blaziken, and I think it's a meta that's very easy to understand and very easy to pick right back up. And it would, if you just take a look at these Pokemon, a good portion of all these Pokemon are very meta prevalent when it comes to general Great League. So it would be wise to have your community re-look at these Pokemon. But when it comes to meta prevalent Pokemon, for sure my next recommendation would be Season 1 Regional Cup. I mean, Azumarill, Metachamp, Skarmory, just those 3 alone joining the general Great League is going to win you most matchups. They're insane. All of these Pokemon are the best of the best when it comes to the previous Boulder, Twilight, Tempest, Kingdom Cup, the previous 4 before it. All of the best. And a lot of these still exist in Nightmare and on. Maybe not like Vigoroth or something, but oof. So we've recommended Boulder, we've recommended Kingdom in Season 1 Regionals. I think next it's going to be about a tie between Twilight and Tempest. Twilight Cup, again, was so long ago, and a lot has changed in the sense of Tentacruel should be a lot more prevalent. The fairy fast move when it comes to Togekiss and Granbull. Nidoking has Earth Power. Nidoking was a bit of a Pokemon that, when it was first announced, when this cup was first announced, Nidoking was like, oh, Nidoking's gonna be great. You got those ground moves for the Poison Dark types. This is gonna be fantastic. And now that it has Earth Power, it should do a hell of a lot better than it ever got the chance to do. So I definitely look forward to that. And if you get your hands on the Legacy Fury Cutter, I bet you that's what's recommended too. There's Nidoking with Poison Jab, Nidoking Fury Cutter. Yep, if you can get your hands on Fury Cutter, I really think this could be a great sleeper Pokemon in the Twilight Cup. So yeah, that would be a fun one. Tempest, again, like I said, my community didn't get to participate in a ranked Tempest Cup. So personally, a chance to do this one more time would be fantastic. Swampert is really going to dominate this meta, especially for people who don't have Tropius to counter it or Abominus Snow. Lapras, you get a chance to use those Lapras Raid Day Laprases. There's a lot of fun to be had with Tempest, I think. And this will be exciting. Magnet Zone's going to be very prevalent, I think, even though it's only ranked at 22. I personally love Magnet Zone right now due to Jungle. Yeah, so Boulder, Twilight, Tempest, Kingdom. Again, Nightmare, just don't. And if you do, record it and send it to... Please send something to me if you do this. Wow, like, you guys would be crazy. Season 1 Regionals. Rainbow, being a month away, I think is definitely more replayable than Jungle. And it's such a good balanced meta, I think, and it brings in a great pool of people because it's just Kanto and Johto. I mean, that's the classics, man. Like, you can't do much better than that. A lot of people would want to play that again, I'm sure. Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise. I mean, come on. Fantastic cup. Really well done. Not to put anything down to Jungle. It's just that we're in the middle of doing Jungle right now. That's all. So I think we're going to prepare a few battle videos, I hope. This is being recorded all in a one-hit session. So we're going to record something. I know I was just briefed a few minutes ago that the new battle system is out with the swiping and the animations, essentially. So I'm interested to see what that would be like. And that's another interesting thing to bring to these metas, is now you're going to have to practice with each mon you decide to use. I mean, it's not as simple as just tapping to get to the 3 rings. You have to learn I assume it's going to be just the same design back and forth with each move. So you're going to have to learn what, I don't know, Swampert's Hydro Cannon is, what Forretress's Heavy Slam is, Vigoroth's Bulldoze, like what that animation is, so that you can more successfully get to whatever the equivalent of the 3 rings is in this case. So yeah, thank you guys, and thank you for watching. Bye.